All right, folks, this is Cimbolic reporting out to you on the show that we had, the Council of 12 show that we had on Saturday, October 24th. That was yesterday. It was a great show reporting to you on the tools and resources that we've developed and on just the solutions that were proposed at this October 24th show, which you can watch every Saturday at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on blogtalkradio.com/Council of 12, and I'll have links to all these things in the description box, to that website, as well as all the tools that were developed. Amazing tools have come into play. First of all, do check out the Electrick Church website, which I'll have a link to. It's already in play, and it's beautiful, it's hip, it's great. And we're also going to have a Council of 12 website, which if it's anywhere near as professional and hip as the Electric Church website, is going to be just, I mean, it's inspiring. Also the tools, we've registered domain names for, sorry, my pronunciation on there, enunciation on that, for a tool to anonymously report or to report inner city merchants who was against policy or against consumer protection laws, impose minimum purchase amounts. We're going to have that tool up, and we are also going to have the tool up. We've got the domain name registered for the site on which you can report criminal activity anonymously. And this will, I'll come back to this because this will tie into the topic for the show that we just had. So that's up. There's also going to be a website to help people repair their credit or keep their credit in good standing, which becomes important in economic self-determination of individuals and of communities. So amazing number of tools coming online. These sites, also the council members will have email addresses so that you can reach us, give us your issues, your feedback, problems you're facing for future shows. It'll have the capacity to upload tools, so we will be able to upload how-to documents, instructions, further tools, explanations, forms, letters, sample letters to the government, what have you, government agencies, whatever, resources, links to grants. I mean, the sky's the limit, folks. And if you guys also contribute by emailing us resources, we can see that those are linked. The Council of 12 site will become a hub for all the resources of the Council and the extension. Great show this week. Our general theme has been taking back the neighborhood, building strong communities, and the topic of this week's show was allies and adversaries. How do we cope with those? How do we form alliances? How do we cope with adversaries or enemies? What have you. There were a number of council members present. Angel's Nup was present. HairNailsBeautytips was present. Liberatingtruth, Elder Edwards was present. StatuesqueOne, and also TMOT, of course, the founder of the council and of the Electrick Church. Myself, the mysterious Cimbolic. And in the chat room we had a number of people, and Tishuku from Buenos Aires was there. He's a good friend of the council. He's there every time. We really we love him, man. It's great. So allies and adversaries, that was the topic. We talked about also looking at this from the framework of having a block club, but much of this is applicable if you don't, but it's always better to have alliances, and a block club is really a group of alliances. You can look at it that way, but we looked at it from the point of view of having a block club. We used a model of, well, depending on how difficult things are in the community, in the neighborhood, you can use actually a battle model, which is where alliances and adversaries, those type of terms come into this. So the idea was you either need to form alliances or you have adversaries. What do you do? We talked about assessing first the strength of an adversary. How strong are they, and how much of a threat are they? Are they weak but really threatening? Are they strong but not very threatening? Are they moderately strong? We discussed that, doing this sort of risk assessment, you may decide that certain adversaries, ones that are weak and are non-threatening, can be ignored. However, if the adversary has moderate strength or is a moderate threat, you need to form alliances. I believe TMOT originated this solution. Form alliances. And we talked about how one of the roles that may emerge is the role of ambassador to form alliances. If there's a very, very strong threat and you are in really desperate straits, depending on how dysfunctional things have become, there may be more serious actions that have to be taken, and I'll get into that in a little while. But in any event, you kind of assess the strength and determine it. And as I say, if the adversary appears stronger than you, you want to form alliances to make yourself stronger. We talked about roles emerging from the block club and block clubs sort of growing gradually as more and more people get involved. We found that basically you need initiators. There's a lot of people with resources, people thinking about block clubs, but you need that catalyst, that change agent. One of the things we talked about was creating tools to empower change agents and initiators to help spark block clubs. Once a block club forms, resources and connections will be made. It'll all fall into place amazingly because more and more people get involved. At this point, you can sort of find out people will tell you what their natural talents are. Some people will be good negotiators. So if you have a problematic gang on the street, requires a lot of careful skills and negotiation, people will emerge to do that. We talked about the role of ambassador, dealing with other block clubs or neighborhood associations. So you may have people with sort of ambassadorial powers to help build alliances and form alliances. And we talked about how some block clubs have expanded to become neighborhood groups, neighborhood associations, and how even adjacent neighborhood associations form into even larger groups and become actually very effective and very powerful politically in making change, political change. And that's what the ancient word politics comes from polis, which means the city. It's the activity that the city does and that the citizens do to govern themselves. That just popped into my head. I apologize for that little etymological. That doesn't mean insect, right? Anyway, etymological, not entomological digression. So there you have it. We talked about, we took an extreme example of a really, really risky neighborhood, and we talked about. Oh, by the way, let me back up. One of the roles is watchman, and we talked about how if there's a presence, if you have in the neighborhood the role that used to be served by men who would be outside, the watchman or guardian presence will deter negative activity. We also talked about the threat that can come from outside law enforcement. Some neighborhoods there's police brutality, and Angels Nup Nup talked about a grant that the ACLU had gotten to actually provide citizens with cameras so that they could shoot activity. And so both the police, who were abusing their authority, as well as the bad elements in the neighborhood, we would be aware it would deter outside and inside threats. We talked about that, and of course there's risk in shooting a picture of somebody. There can be quite individual risk, and the reason this seemed to work in this neighborhood was because many people were doing it, so there was safety in numbers, and the fact that things were so desperate in that particular neighborhood that there was nothing to lose anyway. So in that kind of, this is what we mean by assessing the threat, assessing the threat. In that situation, those tactics works, but for the most part you want to be discreet. You can maybe, if you're going to shoot a photo, do so discreetly. Don't become a target. Do so discreetly. And one of the tools that we have, people will actually be able to upload photos and audio files, maybe photos shot discreetly from a cell phone, maybe taking down tab numbers, shooting a tab number, or what have you, shooting a picture of an individual. When I say shoot, I mean film. So that it can be uploaded to the tool that TMOT has developed on the website. I'm running out of time, but I got to be real quick. I'm learning more and more what block clubs can do. It's fascinating what they can do. I think I have pretty much summarized it. You can listen to the show. It's archived on blogtalkradio.com/Council of 12. And I think the most important thing was there being a community presence, that people knew both internal threats and external threats, would be aware of what's going on. By the way, in a future show, TMOT knows some police officers who may be willing to come on the show for a guest spot, talk with everybody, take questions from callers and from us, which would be really great, because one of the alliances we want to make is with law enforcement. Provided, of course, there is no abuse of authority. But if there is abuse of authority, all the more reason, send out ambassadors, make an alliance with law enforcement, and stop the abuse. That's about the story. I think that's what we've got. A lot of roles, a lot of things of that nature. I am out of time. Listen to the archived show, blogtalkradio.com/council-of-one-two. Links in the description box, folks. I think it's that way. Okay, or now the new format, it's down here.